You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889. Also sponsored by CNB Bank. Go to carlsbadnational.com to learn more. Thank you for listening to Community Forum. My name is Johnny Chandler. I'm the owner of KCCC 930 AM, the host of Community Forum. And with me today is the team from Denton-Wood Funeral Home. Not every team member, but a good critical crew from Denton-Wood Funeral Home. I have Alan Wood, owner and director of Denton-Wood Funeral Home. Cindy Defer, aftercare, pre-arrangements. We're going to talk about aftercare. She's going to explain everything that she does. We also have Crystal Montoya, who's the office manager. So first thing I want to do is I want to introduce everybody. The loyal listeners of this program, which I'm going to say is the entire community, has already heard Alan Wood once, right? And they're going to remember him. So Alan, you just want to tell everybody hi real quick?
I do. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Johnny. I appreciate you inviting us to be here and kind of tell you a little bit about what we've got going on.
Okay, I appreciate that. And just to remind all our listeners is we are about everything local, right? We interview all nonprofits. We interview for-profit companies. If you are in Carlsbad or Eddy County and you care about the local community and you do things for our community, you can come on Community Forum 100% free, never a charge, because we just want to inform the community of all the great things we're doing here. So you can go to kccc930am.com. My contact information is there. Send me an email. Call me on my cell phone. If you want to be on Community Forum, I'd love to help you promote whatever you're doing in the community. Now, with us also is Cindy Defer. Cindy Defer is with Denton-Wood Funeral Home, obviously, as everybody else here is. And what is your main role at Denton-Wood? How long you've been there, Cindy? Give us a little bit about you, your background, and why you're so passionate about what you do.
Well, my background is I've been a hospice nurse for years. Worked for Lakeview Christian Hospice from 2000 until 2019. Have been at Denton-Wood since, I think, February of 2020. I do an aftercare program. It means we contact people after they lose a loved one, and we offer them some things for grief. Kind of moves Crystal and I into the place where we were hoping that we could do a GriefShare program. And so that's what we're here to talk about.
Okay. Well, we're going to get into that for sure. I want to know all about the GriefShare program, what you guys are doing in the community. I'll get very questioning about it too, right? I'll ask all the little things from an outsider who doesn't know quite what it is. Crystal Montoya, office manager at Denton-Wood Funeral Home. How are you?
Good, thank you.
How long have you been at Denton-Wood Funeral Home?
I have worked at the funeral home for 12 years.
12 years.
Yes.
Okay, so has this been your career, your main job?
It has not. I was actually going to college and needed a part-time job, and the funeral home had a job that worked really well with my schedule. Yeah. 12 years later, here I am.
Right, with a full-time job, I
yes,
assume now.
Full-time job.
Right.
I took over as office manager, I believe, in maybe 2015, around there. And so I really enjoy my job.
Right, that's great. I appreciate it. So let me ask a question from an outsider, right? So I'm thinking about funeral homes. I don't think about very joyous occasions when it comes to funeral homes, except for when somebody just lives a wonderful, beautiful, full life, right? And it's more of a celebration in that regards. But it doesn't feel that way for everybody. So I'm thinking like it's a lot of fun to work at a funeral home, right? So my first question is, it's a lot of fun. Feels like an oxymoron in a way, right? But that's probably not true. And I want you to kind of explain to me like what's fun about working at the funeral home as well as kind of what makes you passionate about it.
I think the main thing is that we get to do something for families that not anyone can do. Okay. We try very hard to personalize things for them. That part is fun for me because you get someone who's an avid Cowboys fan and we get to print a star on their memorial book. And that might not seem like a big deal, but it's very meaningful to the family. Right. And so I'm thankful that Alan allows us to use our creativity in that aspect because I really think that families appreciate that.
Yeah. So I was interesting the other day. So sometimes when you have a friend that loses a close one, a relative, or even a child, which is I think a lot of people think is like one of the worst when it comes to you outliving your children. I just kind of wonder like just a little bit about one, how difficult that is, of course, but I guess the idea of honoring what they were into and trying to let them leave, move on to what's happening next in their. Because they left this earth, but it doesn't mean they're gone forever, right? So I don't know how do you help families with something so that has grief at that level? Do you know? Cindy, your aftercare program, right? So we're talking about our GriefShare program. This might be a natural segue, right? I'm talking about someone who's had a relative that has passed, right? And it's obviously very hard, and we're kind of talking about the hardest situation potentially. So what's like the first step?
Well, at this point, we call them, we have some email information that we can send them. We're also blessed that Alan has a grief therapist pardon me, that will visit with people up to 3 visits at no charge. And so she works out of Albuquerque. She's a licensed therapist but specializes in grief. And so many people choose to do, not many, but people who choose that really like the fact that they have somebody to talk to who specializes in it. So then that's one of the reasons we wanted to add this group. It's not for everybody, but it is a place that a lot of people see really good results.
All right, so
help with their grief.
So Denton-Wood has already offered a semblance of an aftercare program, if you will, right?
Yes.
You know, 3 free therapy visits to help you cope with your loss and things like that, and that's at no additional charge to
Correct.
to what you do for the service. Now, the question for me on that is how does the GriefShare program take it to another step? How is that like the next level? Or Cindy or Crystal, it doesn't matter.
So I don't like our families to feel like once the funeral is over that our services are also over. We use an aftercare program where Cindy actually follows up with a phone call. We also send them text messages with different resources about grief, about what to do with death certificates, after they come in. And so I think that we have built different relationships and we've gained their trust on a whole new level because we continue to care for them after. And so I think that it's going to be easy for us to get people to come to GriefShare. And then after we finish our first group, I think that more people will start coming by word of mouth after they hear about it.
Yeah. Now, I believe that advertising on this radio station is probably very effective, but I'm not going to claim that it's better than word of mouth. Right? It's like, it would be nice if it is, but nothing's more powerful than the advertising of word of mouth. So how long? So you started a new aftercare program, Cindy, or I'm sorry, a GriefShare program. If I get the titles wrong, correct me right away every time, please. So there was an inspiration for that. Now, you have a lot of experience with grief, I believe, right? Being a hospice nurse, you already have a lot of experience. So
About 35 years.
All right, 35 years, very long time. So you bring a natural skill set to this GriefShare program, I think, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about?
She does.
Okay, all right, cool.
I'll vouch for her.
All right, tell us a little bit about. This isn't a job interview, so I don't want to make it like a stressful thing. But tell us a little bit about what you think, the skills that you've learned over time that really help with the surviving relatives, family, and friends.
Well, just through hospice, we learned just to listen to people and to. We had a whole team there who helped them with different aspects of physical and emotional and spiritual part of dying. And so my part was mostly the physical part with nursing, but as the director, I was kind of over the whole thing. And so we had a GriefShare program, and I just saw amazing things with it. One of the first ones we did, a gentleman came to, then he came back kind of sheepishly and was like, I'd really like to attend that again. It's helped me. He came the 3rd time, and then he said, okay, I'm really good.
All right.
And so we saw, there's just stories and stories after how much people felt like GriefShare helped. And my personal one is that I attended it for the first time probably 20 years ago and did not even realize I hadn't dealt with the loss of 2 babies. I'd had 2 miscarriages, and it helped me tremendously with that.
Right.
And so they just have a way in this program where there's pastors, counselors, and then there's a lot of lay people like us who have stories from actually attending it ourselves. And so just excited about it and proud that we're going to do it.
So, Johnny, I want to add one thing that Cindy mentioned when she first started answering that question. She's a really good listener. And what I've found through the years that people sometimes just want someone to talk to.
Right.
And just a couple of weeks ago, she had called somebody. She was just following up with a family, maybe that we had served a month ago or whatever. She usually tries to do that within, a 4 to 6 week period or less to make sure everything went well. Was there anything that we could do better or whatever? And it was a little before 5. I think she was hanging up at around 5:30. She had been on the phone with this lady for probably 40 or 45 minutes.
Right.
And it was just listening because people, by that time after, people just want to have somebody that they can talk to. We have that happen in the front office with Crystal. We'll have people come in to pick up death certificates. And when they're there for 15 or 20 minutes, just visiting. They want somebody to listen to them. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that Cindy's a really good listener. She's very compassionate, and she does a good job at that, and so does Crystal.
So this GriefShare program. Have you guys? So it's a national program, right? Initially, so you're not reinventing the wheel with this. You're taking what has already been very successful around the country, and then obviously incorporating it and making it fit for our community, right? So
Yes,
I think before we started recording, you guys said it was a 13-week program, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to ask Alan the particulars. I think it's a great program, but we do need to find out. Alan, does the GriefShare program cost any additional money for the people that use the Denton-Wood Funeral Home?
So what we are going to ask, there is a notebook that each person receives, and they are going to pay a $20 fee to receive that notebook. We are covering, I'm covering there's a pretty good amount of expense that's gone into it, and I've already paid that. I've got the notebooks and everything, but we just wanted people to have a little buy-in. If they cannot do that, then we'll definitely cover that.
Okay, right. So $20 for a 13-week program to heal your soul after something horrible sounds like a pretty good deal, Alan. I was like, it sounds like what I expect from you guys, to be honest. But so that's great stuff. So, kind of either one of you, Cindy or Crystal, let's kind of walk us through without giving away everything, kind of a little bit about what this 13-week program entails, right? Like, are we meeting in the evenings once a week? Are we doing it for 13 straight weeks? Are we doing an afternoon, a lunch? Whoever wants to lead the way on that, just to kind of give people an idea of what they can expect when they get involved.
We're going to start this session on Tuesday, September the 5th at noon, and it's going to be at Lakeview Christian Hospice in the dining room. Like when it's at 1300 North Canal. So when you turn in, the very first building you come to, there's an outside door. We'll have that door open, and people can come in there. It's going to be every Tuesday for 13 weeks.
Now, how long would I need to set aside on a Tuesday evening?
We think probably an hour and 15 minutes. It's at noon, though.
Oh, it's at noon. So it's like a lunchtime thing, right?
Yeah.
Should they bring a sack lunch? Are you providing?
They certainly can if they
Okay,
would
cool.
like to.
I just want to make sure
We're
they
not
know.
going to provide lunch or provide water, but if they want to bring a lunch, they're more than welcome.
Okay.
We realize people that are working probably need to.
All right. So all right, excellent. So kind of walk me a little bit through what we think we're doing here, Crystal. Like with the first week's got to be an introduction, right? I mean, and then how do we go from there?
So it's a 3-part design. We have a video that is about 30 minutes long. Then we have a small group discussion, and that goes along with their workbook that they are purchasing. Each session, like I said, includes a 30-minute video. It covers topics such as, is this normal, self-care, stuck in grief, and many others.
Hey, Crystal, talk about the videos because they're very professional.
They are. The
Top
videos
notch.
are great. They're very well put together.
Are these locally produced videos? Is this part of the national
Yeah, it's
program?
part of the
Well,
national
you sign up, you get the perks of what they've already produced that you can use.
Do you want to talk about that?
So we got the videos, highly produced, about 30 minutes long. And so basically what you're saying is I believe what I'm saying is this GriefShare program, the national program, kind of gives you the tools for all the 13 weeks, right? So I'm going to start with a video that's going to give you an overview of what we're going to do it. And then you guys are going to get down to the nitty gritty, if you will, right? Of the idea of doing the small groups and really kind of getting into how can we personally get you to kind of get over this grief a little bit, right? I mean, I always remember this. There's a professor that I had in college. He was an older gentleman, Vietnam War guy, great. Dr. Davis was his name. I liked him a lot, right? But he had to drink water all the time because all of his salivary glands, all the glands that created saliva were ruined during the Agent Orange or something, right? I don't know. Right, but he's always very real, and he's a very older gentleman at that time, especially when I was 22, he felt older, 21, right? But he always said, when somebody passes, the world is going to continue. He's like, every class, he was like, something bad will happen, but guess what's going to happen? Everybody else is going to continue with their lives. You know what I mean? And so he wasn't telling you that you can get over it in a day, right? What he's saying is nothing else in the world is going to stop because of that tragedy that happened to you. Now, I think that I've a little self-centered and maybe a little even narcissistic in this thought process. But when I was little and I used to be grounded, right? And I'd be grounded and I'd be forced to sit in my room and read a book or something or just be bored. I would sit there and I would think like, no, the rest of the world doesn't care. right? Here I am at 8 years old, grounded in my room, and nobody else cares. The world doesn't care, And so it's unfortunate we all care when you lose somebody that's very close to you, or a relative or a child. But the idea is at some point we have to move on. Not that we don't care, but you have to continue your life, right? And so, Cindy, would you say that this GriefShare program is kind of designed to help people continue to contribute to society and their community and themselves,
Yes.
right?
In our society, we allow people to grieve for about a week or 2 weeks. But after that, you bring up that person who passed away's name, and really most people don't want to talk about it or don't know how to talk about it. So we want them to have a place where they can come. We can talk about, say their loved ones' names. And at the same time, we want people to know it is a discussion group. But if you're somebody who doesn't want to participate in discussion, you feel free to come as well, because we're not going to make you talk. I feel like some people are just, a person that doesn't want to be in a discussion group.
Right.
And so that would not prevent you from attending it.
So besides the tools that you guys are given to help really move this course along, it's kind of the idea that you have a group of people in the same room that have had a semblance of a shared experience, right? So they, like you mentioned, Crystal, that like, is this normal, right? Or are my feelings normal? Well, you can sit in this room and know that what you're feeling is normal, and then it's felt this way all over the world whenever somebody does that. So there's like, maybe you're adding a level of comfort that they're not alone, right? Because they feel isolated. And I think that some that have something tragic happen to them, they can also feel like it was personal somehow, right? Or like, why did this happen to me, only me, right? When in fact, it didn't happen to you, it happened to them. It's just the way that you're projecting it within yourself, right? Like you're saying it happened to you. No, what happened, it happened to them. Now, how can you help them move on as well? I don't have a lot of experience with it. I can't relate. So I'm going to sit here from a little high horse and be like, yeah, just do this, but I just really don't know. You know what I mean? Crystal, what are your thoughts?
I was just thinking that one of the things that I really like about the videos are when someone starts to speak, they put their name and their title, if they're a counselor or a pastor, and a very short description of their death. So it'll say, so-and-so daughter died in car accident, or mother died of cancer, or however. And so even though the deaths are very different, one is natural, or, if they're older and died of natural causes, or they have a 14-year-old that died in a car accident, the grief, even though it might not be the same, you're still kind of going through the same emotions.
Right.
Like one isn't worse than the other. And so I really like that it describes or gives us a little history on their connection to who they've lost.
Right. Grief can present itself in a lot of different ways, I guess, right? So if you have somebody that was not very close that passed away, doesn't mean that the grief doesn't hit them even harder than somebody that was seeing them every day. You don't know what they're holding, you know what I mean? And so, older, somebody that lived a full life died natural causes. It could that could hurt just as much as somebody who lost a 14-year-old in a horrific accident. Like it's basically what you're saying is maybe you teach a little bit, or the videos teach a little bit about how it's not okay to compare your tragedy to theirs. That my tragedy felt worse. Mine is worse than yours. So why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? That type of thing.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Exactly.
'Cause everybody handles death different. You could have someone that passes away young and very much of the same thing. Two people that have car wrecks, but the situation's still totally different, and the way you grieve is still totally different. And everybody handles it differently.
Right. And it's in your mind what you think, maybe, right? So when my grandfather passed away, which has been quite a while now, I felt like, and I was like 22 or something, I don't know, but the idea was that 2009, 29. The thing is that I felt like he was ready to go. I saw him a lot. We all cried a little bit, and we did all, he's buried in Santa Fe National Cemetery up there in Santa Fe, but we all did, and I just, like the whole collective was just like, he just felt like he was ready. You know what I mean? Lived a real hard military life too, but he was kind of ready, right? But like grandma's 87, and she's starting to show signs of slowing down a little bit, and I'm not ready. You know what I mean? Like already. So if each individual person, it's in their head, because I have other relatives where the grandfather was really hurt, right? But maybe the grandmother won't as much. I can't explain it. So it's kind of difficult. I kind of am confusing and rambling now about how to process something that hasn't happened yet. So I like to stay in the now at this moment. You know what I mean? To not necessarily think of those things. Tell me, Cindy, I want to know what you think is the most valuable aspect of this GriefShare program.
My belief is the most valuable thing is that it is centered around God and Christ.
Great.
And there's scriptures used, and off all my experience, the people who die easiest are people who have a relationship with God. And I feel like the grief also is a sign it gets better if you have a relationship with God. And this is, like I said, there'll be pastors, counselors, a lot of people who will talk about their own experiences, or and it's woven through all this in just such a way. This is not anything Crystal and I could have done. This is actually the newest series of it. I think it's only been out within the last year. It even talks about COVID. You know, we've had so many people whose families had losses from COVID. It's up to date, and it's just a really good material.
Okay, Cindy? Crystal. I'm looking at you guys can't even see who I'm looking at. I completely could have fooled you, but I totally looked at Crystal and said Cindy. So Crystal, she had a really, really great explanation. Are you going to be able to top that? What do you love about the GriefShare program?
So I can't recall if we've mentioned this or not, but I did actually go through the courses.
Okay.
After my mom died.
This the latest version, or maybe one before?
No,
Close enough. A newer than 20 years, right, Cindy?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And for me, I think that it has helped me in my own grief for sure, but also helped me to minister to our families on a different level, because I understand grief a little better now. One of our funeral directors and I were just talking about this the other day. His wife died almost 3 years ago. And we talked about how, because we deal with death every day, we feel like maybe we just bypass this entire grieving process.
Right.
But that's actually not the case. And so in recognizing that we are grieving, even though it's been years, I think that going through this program has really helped me, and I'm really hoping that he will attend if he's able to. I really feel like all of our employees could benefit from this in understanding our families in a different way.
Yeah. I think that's a great explanation. I think that's wonderful. I mean, I will say this, and it's an inevitability, but I hope that I'm not in a position to have to attend your class, right? You know what I mean? I don't want somebody to pass that was really close to me where I have a hard time dealing with grief, but it is an inevitability, I think, for every person, right? I mean, we know that. Cindy, kind of go ahead and give us the information again on when the first class starts. We also haven't talked at all, and any three of you that want to bring this up, where can I go to get some information? Give us the phone numbers, give us the website, give us all the dates, all the great stuff.
Hey, as she thinks about that, let me tell you one thing, Johnny. One reason that we're doing it at Lakeview is we were trying to figure out where might be a neutral type place.
Sure.
Some people don't like coming back into the funeral home. Mm-hmm. If we had it at a church, some people, they're more familiar with maybe their church, but nobody else's church, or maybe people don't want to go to a church.
The relationship each individual spiritually has, right?
We were trying to find a place that it was a neutral spot.
Sure.
And because of Cindy's connection with Lakeview and my connection with Lakeview, we were able to just use a room that's not being used. And so we're hoping that is more inviting from the standpoint of just a kind of a neutral setting too.
Right.
So anyway, I didn't mean to steal.
No, and I think that's very important to say. Like, the whole idea is to be welcoming, right? And I think that people have a varying levels of their relationship with Jesus and with God when death hits them, right? And it can be like, you don't ever want to shake your belief, right? But it can be shaken, and so it can be, right? And sometimes you have to find that faith again. So you really do. I think the idea, just listening to the first time I ever heard that idea introduced to me, you're looking for a bit of a neutral ground as you grieve, right? Because the grief takes all different ways, right? Even with their religion, they can struggle with that when something tragic happens, right? So that's very, very good point.
And they're probably more than likely going to dread going to the first one.
Sure.
It's just nobody wants to take that first step, especially if it's a spouse you lost. They're maybe not used to doing anything by themselves, or whatever. It's a little scary to go and be with these other people that are grieving, and you don't know what to expect. So anyway.
Right.
Hopefully it'll be an inviting type situation.
Well, and on that note, I really feel like Cindy's interaction with families after, with her phone calls is going to help because she's so kind to them and they trust her. And so if she says, we have this to offer, they're more likely to probably come because she's saying, it's going to be good.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So welcoming, and that sounds amazing. So if I remember correctly, the first class is September 13th.
No.
Nope. Okay. I do not remember.
September the 5th.
Tuesday, September 5th is the first class.
That is the day after Labor Day.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. The first Tuesday after Monday. So
So
everybody's got Monday off.
Coming up pretty soon.
And then do your lunch Tuesday. Okay.
At noon, 12 noon, and then for every Tuesday for 13 weeks.
Okay.
And it'll be at Lakeview Christian Hospice at the dining room at 1300 North Canal, which is when you turn into Lakeview Hospice and Home Hills parking lot. It's the first building.
Yeah. When you're coming into town south, or when you're
So
driving.
it's across the river. It's not on Pierce Street.
Oh, that's right. Because
Canal
canal.
There's two locations.
So just on the other bridge, just on
Canal.
this side of the bridge, the canal bridge.
Correct.
Right. I actually live on that side of the river. I should know this. Okay. Perfect. So, all right, September 5th at noon at that location. All right, plenty of parking, all that stuff. It's like it'll be real easy to get in and out, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. What else do I need to know? How can I sign up?
You can call the funeral home. The phone number is 575-885-6363.
885-6363.
You
Okay.
can ask for Cindy or myself.
Okay.
And we will get you on the list. We will also post updates on our Facebook page.
If you would like to, you can call me on my cell phone, 575-361-0994.
Okay. Do you guys have information on the website as well? Or are we working on that? So we got information on Facebook. So go to Denton-Wood Funeral Home on Facebook. That's where you can find you. Okay. No problem.
We need to do that, Johnny.
Well, I can't speak.
Beat us to the punch.
I can't say anything though. I mean, if you go to my website right now, it's like, it turns into one of those things. Like I got to do it on social, and I got to do it on the website, and I got to do it on this social network, and that one, it's cumbersome. I think they've made a
They
little.
will be on it.
Yeah.
I bet Crystal will have it on there right
Yeah.
away.
I was like,
Now
sorry,
that you brought it up.
I didn't mean to call you guys out in front of the boss, but I thought maybe you'd want people to go to the website. Let's do some closing statements. Cindy, I'd love to start with you.
I'm just really proud to say that Denton-Wood Funeral Home and Alan has allowed us to do this. And I would just ask you, if you even think about it, just commit to coming to one. Just try one. If you don't like it, we totally understand. But I think you'll gain something and want to continue coming.
Yeah, if you're struggling with grief, that's a great outlet for you to consider here in the community. And so I think, why not take advantage of it? Yeah. Crystal?
Okay, take that out.
Okay. All right. I don't know if I'm going to now. I think that's going to add to the character of the episode.
So the reality is that anyone who has suffered a loss, they're going to grieve forever. I don't think you ever get over it. You just learn to live with it. And GriefShare is a really good resource to bring you comfort and understanding of your grief journey. So I really encourage everyone who has gone through any type of loss to join us.
Excellent. Great. And Alan?
Well, I just, again, want to thank Cindy and Crystal. They, as I mentioned to you at the very beginning of the program, they came to me and said, hey, there's a need here. We'd like to do it. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. So I was willing to financially put the money up to get all the materials, pay for the videos and everything. It was a fairly good investment. And like I said a while ago, we're only asking if you want the notebook and you're planning to come, if you'll give us $20 for the notebook and it's yours. And it just gives a little buy-in for that.
Sure.
And we're just excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I am planning to attend as many of those as I can, just so I have a firsthand idea of what it is. I mentioned to you all at the very beginning that I wanted them to do most of the talking about it because I have not gone through the program.
Right.
So,
well, they certainly have. They are
very
the
sold
leaders
on
of this
it,
program
and
for
they're
sure.
Excited about it, and therefore I am too as well. So I appreciate you having us on, Johnny. With
Yeah,
that.
not at all. It looks like Crystal and Cindy have something else they want to mention before we close. So
I
let's do
just
it.
want to add that it is not limited to only the families that we serve.
Okay.
We have a great relationship with West Funeral Home, and I plan to let them know what we're doing, And so it is open to everyone. It's not just for the
Right.
families.
I
we
mean,
serve.
So anyone in the public.
Anyway, so I mean, even more than that. So you have the West Funeral Home, you have a Denton-Wood Funeral Home, but you can have somebody who lost a relative 20 years ago, right?
Exactly.
30 years ago, still focusing on some grief. Here's an outlet for you. $20 for the buy-in, maybe for the book, right? That'd be great. So I've always been real nervous about funeral homes and the idea of death, but I want to say that the more I get to know you guys, I think what an honor it could be, or you could consider it to be, to help families have loved ones move on and to help them with that as well. There's actually, it's like doctors help with the birth, right? You guys help with the end, and I think that the more you think about it, the more I get to know you. There's an honor in being able to do that for families and being able to do it the right way. You know, everybody wants their wedding to be perfect, the birth, the wedding, the funeral. So the idea that your expertise is helping, and then adding so much extra for no additional cost, you know what I mean? Because that's how much you care about people and their grief. It really shows, it really speaks to Denton-Wood Funeral Home and then everybody else in the community as well. So Alan Wood, Cindy DeFur, Crystal Montoya, thank you all for being on today. I appreciate it.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889. Also sponsored by CNB Bank. Go to carlsbadnational.com to learn more.